Funniest thing though is, have you ever had sex while you were tripping?
No, never.
Yeah, don't ever do it, man. Like, I mean, do it if it's somebody that you're dating, but definitely don't do it if you're new with that person. But one time, me and this girl who was a bartender, I was a waiter at a restaurant. The bartender, she was this really hot chick, but like, I'm 5'8". I'm not short. I'm like a pretty average height, but she was like 6'4", tall as a basketball player. After work, we were like, let's just trip and go back to my house. So we tripped and we were hanging out, and then we start making out. And I remember, like, I wanted to like, so I had to like climb up her, and I remember like tripping still, and it felt like I was on top of a monster. Like, she didn't even seem human. I was like going, whoa, wait, like, who is this huge monster? And I had to stop. I was like, I can't do this. I feel like you're a creature and not a human. If you're seeing things, you know, you're looking at somebody's face and it's slowly moving and changing, and you could start seeing their eyes glare weird. You could see their soul and stuff like that. It's really hard to get like romantic, in my opinion. But yeah, that's a weird combo. Those two together are always really weird. Yeah, the first time I ever did acid, we went to a Nirvana show. I think I was a senior in high school. I did it with this girl who I was dating, and she had done it a few times before. And I had not even taken like mushrooms or anything like that. And so we take it right in the parking lot. We must have taken a lot because I was fucked up. Like, I was seeing things. I was like, you know, like when you see trails and shit. We lost each other. And I was kind of freaked out because it was a sold out Nirvana show. It was just a mosh pit. And then on the sides, there was just like one row of like places to sit. And so I was sitting on the side of the stage. The opening band was on, and the opening band was like this Japanese band where I can't remember their name, but they just scream the whole time. Like, it's kind of like baby metal, but it wasn't cute. Kind of like grunge baby metal. I don't know. I'm just sitting there tripping my ass off, and I look next to me, literally right next to me. I don't know if he was standing there the whole time, and I just came up to him. I just remember looking at the opening band. They're all melting and shit. I look to the side of me, and there's Kurt Cobain just elbow to elbow, just eating a bag of Cheetos. And I go, whoa. And he just looks at me and goes, Cheeto? And so I grab one, and I'm just like staring at Kurt Cobain. And somebody over here yells, oh my God, it's Kurt Cobain. And then he goes, hey, and then just throws the whole bag of Cheetos everywhere, and the Cheetos go everywhere, and he goes backstage again. I'm sitting there holding that Cheeto, and I just put it in my pocket, like, I'm going to keep it. Kurt Cobain gave it to me. And then, you know, the whole show happened, blah, blah, blah. And then later, we're driving home. It's raining, like a huge thunderstorm. It was so bad, I remember you can't even see the road, and we're driving on the highway, tripping on acid still a little. And the girl I was with, she was like horny and she wanted to have sex. And so she crawled. We had a bucket seat. It was a Ford station wagon, like with those really long seats, like it's like a couch. And she climbed on me, and like one leg here, one leg here. I remember thinking that night, there's no way I survived that. I died that night. Like, there's no way. Like, there's no way I made it home that night. I felt like I died that night. You know, every time you died, you don't know it. Everyone else in that universe saw you get in a car accident or whatever. Or if it's like you do have a number of lives.
Yeah.
You know, like if it really is like a cat. I mean, she was a small girl too, though. So like she was like I think she's like 5 foot or something like that. So that's the only way that I could see, oh, I could have done that easily, you know, but yeah. It's so funny. There's a few things that Canada has that I can't believe they don't sell proper here, like in the United States. That's so popular. Like those ketchup chips you have, they don't sell them in the US. They have every other fucking horrible flavor, but they don't have ketchup chips.
Ketchup chips are Canadian exclusive?
Yeah. Isn't that ridiculous? Doesn't that blow your mind? Like, what the fuck? What's that shit? The curds and the gravy? We don't have that either.
Oh, poutine. Yeah.
We're just now, like, some trendy places have poutine, but barely.
I feel like I didn't close the last subject properly, but so you mentioned you sold LSD too in college?
Because I was a hippie in college, like Grateful Dead was still around, like Jerry Garcia was still alive, and all my friends were just hippies, and we just smoked weed. And that time it was super illegal to smoke and have weed. The guy that gave used to buy my acid from, he goes, you know, you're paying so and so per hit of acid. If you just bought a sheet of acid, you could sell a few and then you get free acid. I was like, holy shit, that's right. So I started doing that, where I'd buy like a sheet of acid, and then, I sell like 20 hits, and then I would have all this free acid. Then he's like, dude, if you buy books, you can sell sheets of acid. I was like, how much is a book? And I think back then it was something like, I'm gonna say like $700, $600 for a book of acid, which was like 10 sheets, I think, of acid. And then so I would sell like a sheet of acid for, I don't know, a couple $100, and then I would just be making money for a while. And the cool thing is that you just kept it, you could just keep it in your wallet in a plastic cellophane. Most drugs, you're like holding like bags of drugs in your pockets and stuff.
And it has no smell, it has no taste.
Right, exactly.
Do you have any advice for, up and coming drug dealers?
Nowadays, I have no idea. With acid, I've probably done maybe over 200 times or so. I think after there was a while where you just kind of hit a wall and you weren't learning anything new and you weren't getting any new experiences. It was kind of like just having almost like a bad trip. Like I remember the last time I did mushrooms, it was like voices were like, hey, you've learned everything, what are you doing this still for? There's nothing new. And it was almost becoming a bad trip because it was just like the mushrooms were telling me, all right, that's enough.
Get your fucking life together.
Yeah, exactly. I'll still take a little here and there, but the last time I proper tripped was years ago. And acid, same thing. And now I'm just kind of, I don't know. I'm not saying I'm never going to do it again, but it's also like, it has to be a perfect situation. Like, oh, I'm renting a place on the beach or I'm, camping in Joshua Tree or something cool. I remember the first couple times I did it. I remember one time I was driving to work and it's the same car, the same steering wheel I saw every day, driving to work. And I remember I was at a red light, like a couple of days after doing my first time on acid. And I remember looking at my steering wheel and seeing a texture on the steering wheel I had never seen before. Like my brain unlocked this texture, and like I was seeing textures that I'd never seen on leaves and trees, or just it made you look at things through different eyes. I just looked at a leaf and just like, that's a fucking leaf, like I didn't go, wow, look at all the, unique details of the veins of the leaf and like things that you took for granted every day. Now you look at it in a different way, or you see things different that you never noticed before, colors and textures. And
it's crazy to me because like I know you're smoking in real life, but while you're smoking in VR, it's like so fluid. I can tell that's what you're doing.
If you're gonna try it for your first time, just make sure you have a safe place to escape to if things go crazy. That's my biggest advice, because there's nothing worse when you start having like a bad trip or something happens, and you have nowhere to go for quiet and peace, where you could just lay down and like reset for a second.
Have you ever had a bad trip on acid?
Maybe every 20 hits, I would have like a somewhat to a bad trip. And those are the worst. Those make you take some time off. And it usually, it's supposed to be, you only have bad trips if you have something going on in your head you're not letting yourself free with the acid, like you have something in the back of your head, or, you take it while you're stressed or depressed or something, sometimes you could have a bad trip. But I felt like it's also sometimes it's just too strong and you're like, my body's reacting weird to this, like it's not. I used to go to a lot of like music festivals, like outdoor music festivals. And everybody else is on acid too. And everyone's just all about love and happiness and good, music. Everywhere you go, somebody has a toy to play with, like, look through this kaleidoscope. You're like, wow, this is so cool. And then you go somewhere else and people have laser wands and stuff like that. All those times were probably up there as being the best, experiences on acid. I used to always see visuals and stuff. So when you're mixing visuals with, being at a circus almost, where you could just play with all this stuff and see all these cool things, kind of like, like Burning Man. If you ever look at Burning Man videos, just imagine tripping and seeing that all the shit that they have there. It's cool and fun. It's kind of like being in vrchat. It's that innocence where if you're both tripping, you could see each other's, essence and like soul. And I think that really gets you close to people because you're seeing past what, all the weird nervousness and uncomfortabilities are gone, and you're really seeing the person.
If you could tell everybody in the world one thing, what would it be?
It's easy to like be a mean person because it's almost like a defense mechanism. I was always more of a nice person growing up. The few times that I've ever been mean to somebody, I still think about like, why was I, years later, why was I such a dick to that person, and maybe they were having a bad day. Maybe, they didn't deserve it. And it sticks to me. I think if you're having a bad day yourself, self-evaluate yourself, constantly. Not just like once a week, self-evaluate everything you do. Remember that we're all on this planet. We didn't choose this. We're all trying to just stay alive and be happy and enjoy our time that we have here. And I don't know. Be cool, man.
That was very beautiful. I'm gonna go order a Dave's double now.